Hey, all you happy lost souls. How y'all doing out there? If you're new to the channel, you just found it. It's a channel with really laid back vibe, nothing political going on, no agendas, except we love to rock hound, find gemstones and insane artifacts right here in southeastern Pennsylvania. Artifacts all made of, well, a lot of them made of our new favorite material around here since discovered, corundum. Corundum is aluminum oxide. When you get really pretty examples of this material, they are referred to as sapphires, rubies, emerald. But what they all are is a mineral called aluminum oxide. In my area, and this is going to be a little bit more technical, but this will help you figure out how to find them if they're in your area. On the East Coast, I know that they're found in parts of New Hampshire and Connecticut. I know that they're found, a lot of them, beautiful rubies, beautiful stones are found in Maryland, Montana, but no one really talks too much about PA, but my house is built on top of a mountain of this stuff. Parts of my house are made out of this stuff. It's a stone fronted house, and it seems that it annoyed a lot of the people quarrying the schist for blocks to make houses, structures. It's a great material, you can cut it both ways, but it's out of this crazy schist, and we have a type around here known as Wissahickon schist. This is extremely special. This uptick through the Huntington Valley area, down through northeast Philadelphia, down through the Valley Green corridor, that the Wissahickon cuts through and flows through. Tons of aluminum oxide down there. It's everywhere. Pouring out of the walls. You're walking on it on the ground. It's all over. And for years I've thought this stuff was all quartz. Until I started finding all kinds of colors of it and started noticing it was extremely hard. Very thin pieces of this stuff. You can't break it. Squeeze it with pliers, it doesn't do anything. You hit it with hammers, oftentimes doesn't crack or do anything unless there's some sort of inclusion or stressor in there. But the colors, these stones, if they're not red or green, if they're any other color, they're referred to as sapphires. They can come in any color under the sun. They're all still aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide, the aluminum is in the schist. The schist contains all kinds of stuff from the mantle, and especially the schist around here. I said it was very unique because I think it's one of the oldest rock layers on Earth. The other one is in Scotland in an uptick, but the two plates kind of meet here, and one is dipping under the other. But what happened is this band of the mantle, the gooey, plasticky, melted rock, the mesomorphic layer, got pushed up, and it got exposed to air rather suddenly, and it caused all kinds of crazy minerals and things to form, and different structures, and God only knows what you may discover down in there. But I can tell you there's a ton of corundum because there's a shitload of schist. Try to say that, shitload of schist. There's a shitload of it in my area. It's all over the place. And as this video plays, you can read along. There's different pictures, different examples. So how we get different colors is the schist has to have aluminum, because we know that sapphires are aluminum oxide, and if the schist is pushed under the right types of pressure and heat, it cooks the aluminum pretty much out of the schist, and turning it into aluminum oxide, because there's oxygen trapped in between the loose layers of schist. Schist is kind of like a very concreteous type material, cementy type, that's got garnets in it, all different types of metals in it. And it's within these different types of metals that you'll get different color aluminum oxide, different color sapphires. If there's a lot of chromium, if there's a lot of iron oxides and things like that, like rusts and leads, you'll get dark reds, browns, blacks. You'll get rubies. If you get the right mixture of palladium or vanadium and titanium, which is ilmenite, runs through these rocks, these little black dark streaks that kind of look like shinier pencil lead almost, but it's a bit harder. It can be confused with tourmaline sometimes. But there's a ton of this running through the schists, which give you all kinds of blues, and then you have all these other kind of strange metals that have some radioactive properties, like palladium, vanadium, and these cause these color shifting properties. So you get these rubies that could be purplish red, and then in a different light look really red or look pink, and then look dark purple in another light. Sometimes they're referred to as pigeon blood. And then you get these crazy other color shift, which is padparadasha, I believe, is the term for this yellow pinkish to yellow orange, this orangey, fiery, clearish pink color changing sapphire. And I'm going to show you examples of different color changing ones I have in all of these categories, and show you, side by side pictures as this video goes. Now, we find in my area walls of schist that have become cooked and turned into different types of literal walls. Like, it's everywhere. And for years I always just assumed it was quartz. I thought the artifacts were quartz until I got a hardness reader, and then I did scratch testing, and I did refraction testing with lighting, and then I have a microscope, magnifying glass. I looked at all the hexagonal structures and patterns, and all of the things that make a corundum are there. It'll slice right through glass. It's extremely hard. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. And it was more amazing to me because I'm an artifact guy. I love researching and finding this strange ancient culture that seems to be in the 20 to 27,000 year range, up to maybe 17,000 years before I don't find their stuff anymore. This is just my estimation of where I found some of their artifacts when I could actually get the layers. I don't have any dating techniques other than taking samples of what I find directly underneath of it and holding on to them, but I know how far some of the other stuff is, and you can kind of get an idea of some of the artifacts found directly on top of it. We could figure out that, hey, they were, Paleo or Neolithic, and then there's a large gap, and then there's this burn layer, which I assume is the Younger Dryas episode, and then down a few layers after that we find all these crazy artifacts made out of sapphire corundum, including anamorphic pendants, reliefs with woolly mammoths. There's this beautiful greenish yellowish sapphire mammoth head, and that I found, and it's a mammoth that is embossed because it was on the schist, and what they had done is somehow filed the sapphire into the shape of an elephant head, but left the schist in the relief, and it's absolutely stunning. And this has to be 18,000 years old, and because that material is so hard, it stayed around forever. Horsehead pressure flaking tool. It's literally the side profile of a horse in yellow sapphire. Snapping turtle, and the alligator snapping turtle in the main creek I find a lot of this stuff in, as a lineage dating back 90 million years. So it's an old animal, and it's a monster. It looks like a dinosaur. That's what it looks like. I'm not talking about a little regular old snapping turtle. I'm talking about a gator snapping turtle. Like, alligator snapping turtles are vicious. They're crazy. Their heads are massive. They can't retract into their shells. They're spiked. They're barbed, and they're bigger than a couple trash can lids. They're massive. They can live 100 years. So we respect that animal, but obviously they did too. And I started finding rubitized schist. Started finding what I call corundum ore. Lots of sapphire complexes with blue sapphire, reds, greens, yellows, lots of dark blues, which almost look black, Then I found some other crazy examples. One is a gold sheen sapphire, recently discovered in mid 2010s, I believe, in Africa. But I found one here as well. There's so many different materials because there's also a ton of thermal activity, a lot of thermal springs and geo activity, and when all this stuff seeps up through the cracks, all this heated water brings all these dissolved minerals with it, and then as it instantly cools, as it comes up into the creek water and into these thermal pools that are well known in the area, all other kinds of stuff can form. And I really want to get funding up to get an XRF gun so I can just scan stuff and maybe I can find some new crazy elements and materials. But I digressed a little. But to identify this, you need to have the right materials in the area. If you have a lot of schist or a lot of ore that contains aluminum, then you have a good chance of finding aluminum oxide. And not every piece you pick up is going to have tremendous value. Some of the really special examples could make you retire if you're lucky. But I hope to take any money that I earn off of the channel. I got to live, of course, and build the channel with some of it, but I want to pour a lot of it back into just clean water. Clean water is something that we all need if we want our survival to continue. So, maybe I'll go take it out to all these places, like in Ohio where the train spilled stuff, and go donate it to them, because I really don't think the government did enough out there, obviously, to help help with that disaster with all those chemicals. That just pains me, because it goes into the earth and it spits it back out into all the wildlife, into all of our products, into all of our produce, into all of our agriculture, into all of our bodies. And some of that stuff, once in your body, can never leave your body, and it can cause problems. So God bless anybody that was involved in any of those horrible disasters caused by negligence and companies that are just very greedy, obviously. But again, I'm not trying to get political, just reaching out to where my heart is, pretty much, with what I want to do with some of the money. I want to give it back to the earth, where it belongs. Our paper our money comes from trees. I want to give it back to the water and the trees a little bit. Anyways, I love you all. Please subscribe. Get out there and look. If you see anything that looks blue or purplish or red, or these are colors, bright yellow. Sapphires will always glow almost in low light. They almost get brighter when everything else gets duller. Glow like a lamp in low light. When you take a picture of one, if you turn the exposure way down, the stone gets way brighter. So that's kind of how these things work. That's why it's great when you go out on a rainy day to go find them, especially if you're in like alluvial deposits or gravel bars, which is where you're really allowed to look, as long as the creek is in tidal water, and you're not cutting or damaging or causing erosion, just hobby collecting. If it is not tidal water, you really got to be careful with mineral rights and all that stuff. Private land, you don't have to worry about. I don't really divulge exactly where I find all my stuff, only because I don't, why do that? And a lot of it comes out of my yard. Because, like I said, I live in those very, very hills that I was mentioning in the video, and that giant white one that's in a lot of my videos that you'll see in this video, that big white sapphire that has just about every matrix that sapphires can form inside of it. It's like a great teaching model. That like fell out of the hill in my backyard, and I think what ended up happening is a lot of these old quarries that they used to cut the stone to build these houses, they ran into big boulders of this stuff, and they couldn't cut it at all. It was a pain in the ass, and they couldn't get it to fit or shape the way they want it to. And a lot of times it was in the shape they needed it, because you got to remember, it's taking place of the schist, so it almost forms in those bars, hexagons, and those type of patterns, because that's the matrix that the schist is kind of in. So, but anyways, love you all. Please subscribe, yeah, if you're new, just reach out, share, and go find some treasures. They're all around. Sometimes you got to shine them up a little bit, but they're all around us. Peace, love. Remember, go get lost to find yourself. Stay happy. Peace.